So if you're a longtime listener of the KrakCast, and of course I know you are, you know that we like to talk to people from different parts of the local community, especially things that maybe might not be on your radar, especially when it comes to sports. We've spoken to, we've spoken to some guys from Krakow's American football team, from a local rugby team, and now, very pleased to say that we're welcoming a couple of guys from the Krakow Cricket Club here in our studio to talk about, well, cricket, obviously. Graham and Vijay, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, Krakow Cricket Club, where can I start? Well, first of all, before we dive into cricket, I got to ask the standard obligatory question. Let's give us the executive summary here. Where are you from, and what brought you here to our lovely city of Krakow?
So hi guys, this is Vijay here. I'm from India and I came to Poland back in 2009. What brought me here, it's a long story.
Whereabouts in India?
I'm from Punjab.
Okay, help me with my mental map of India.
North part of India.
Okay, nice place?
Pretty nice, yeah.
Pretty nice. And what did you, 2009?
Yeah.
Okay, so more than a decade. Okay,
yes,
nice.
Than a decade.
I know you said it was a long story, but that's why I cut you off, actually.
Yeah. I know, yeah. Graham, I'm not going to go down to that part.
Good. Because we're talking about cricket today, exactly. Graham, your turn.
Okay, I've been here since, I'm from UK originally, from Essex, which is a big cricketing region, and I've been here since 2002. So it's coming around to 19 years.
All right, now tell us, take us back through the mists of time to the early days of the Krakow Cricket Club. How did it get started? What was the kind of like the what did it look like when the whole thing got started here in town?
Basically, it was back in 2011-ish. We created we were just looking for, a bunch of guys. Yeah. So basically I was sitting on my couch one day and I told my missus, I'm missing cricket. And she said, what can I do? Nothing.
I love that. Yeah. That's a great, any story that starts with, I was sitting on my couch one day is going to lead to something good. That's all right. I just had to put that in there. Sorry.
Yeah. So I created a Facebook page, Krakow Cricket Club. And then I told my missus, there you go, I'm going to start a club. And she said, jolly-o, go ahead. And
she wasn't impressed, huh?
Yeah. Enthusiasm was off the charts.
Off the charts, yeah. And then for the good 1 year, I was the only member of that group on Facebook page, and I used to post.
What kind of cricket match was that with you out there alone?
I think I used to play in my dreams.
Terrible.
So anyhow, it stayed like that for a year or so, and then some folks from State Street, they found the Facebook page and they just joined, and then they contacted me, that because I was the only member of the group, and somehow we started talking, and then they said, okay, let's have a game, and then that's how it started. So basically it was a joint effort from the folks from State Street. There were a bunch of English players there, a bunch of Irish players there. So they got together.
One Irish player.
Yeah, one Irish player.
One is a bunch.
But he was... So
that's how the KCC basically started. And then since 2011, we have been playing regularly.
I have to, so chip in my bit.
Jump in.
So I did a project over do you know who Sarah Lee are? The people who make cakes?
Sure.
Yeah, so I did a project with them in the UK, in Slough, and they've got a cricket team. And they was always struggling to find players. So I played a bit of cricket with Sarah Lee back in 2010. And then when I came back to Krakow, I just said, I need to be playing cricket in Krakow. And so from that moment onwards, I was sort of looking for people to play with. And where we've come from and where we've got to does seem quite extraordinary when I think 10 years back, it was just... There was nothing going on, and now as we'll come to, we've got 30 plus players, all involved.
Graham, you said you were from Essex, and you mentioned this is kind of like cricket's kind of ancestral homeland, I guess, in a sense. Have you always been a cricket guy first, and more so than football or anything else?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah, I played cricket at school. That's quite unusual in the UK generally, unless you go to public school or if you're from one of these regions where they're quite passionate about cricket. So, yeah, I played at school, and that was by far my number one sport.
And Vijay, let me ask you, and this is just for the benefit of people who are listening who might not know about this. I think most people associate cricket with the British Commonwealth, but they might not know how big, how massive, it's kind of hard to find the right word, how big cricket is in India. Can you give us just if it's even possible, give us a kind of the outline of just how massive cricket is there?
It's a religion. Cricket is a religion in India.
Don't you guys have enough religions already down there?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's even on top of that. So after having so many religions, Indians had said, we are not done enough yet. So they said we're going to create one more religions, and they get crazy about cricket.
Nice.
But yes, cricket is pretty massive over there, and the Indian Cricket Association, they run one of the biggest cricket leagues in the world. It's called the IPL, Indian Premier League. And it's one of the richest league, I think, in the top 5.
Global sports brands.
Global sports brands in the top 5 richest sports leagues in the world.
I read a statistic that I refused to believe at first, but I did my own work, and it's true. I verified this. The statistic, I forgot the number involved. It doesn't matter. But this said the Indian Cricket League attracts more corporate sponsorship dollars than any other league in the world. And at first I'm thinking that's no way. It has to be the NFL. Has to be no. India's got a billion whatever people now, and lots of companies want to put their name on this. This is massive money there. It's hard to understand just how big it is. Just quickly, one more thing before we continue. Still on the subject of India. Biggest rivalry: Pakistan, England, Australia. Who is it?
Oh, that's a toughie. I would say, all the teams which you mentioned are pretty good. There is some historical baggage between India and Pakistan.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
They get touchy.
Yeah. But I think games are played in good spirit, and
sure.
That's the most important thing. And this is the game which brings the two countries together rather than keeping them apart. So I treat that as a positive thing between India and Pakistan, that there should be more cricket so that these two countries can come together as much as they can.
Let's go back to getting started with the KCC here. Okay, so you've got people who want to play. We're still in Krakow. We're in Poland, right? How do you get a field that, cricket field or cricket pitch is enormous. It's much bigger than a standard football pitch. You need special equipment. What are the practical steps you have to take to get started and get a proper match going?
I think the most practical thing is that we have ensured that we will not kill anybody with the cricket ball.
That's a good place to start, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got a nice baseline,
That was the most logical thing. We said, okay, we've got this hard ball, and if somebody tonks it over and lands on somebody passing by, that's a sitting duck, and then would be a big problem.
You can't play close to people, which rules a lot of places out, right?
Yeah.
You need a lot of open space, like really a lot, right?
I think compromise is probably the answer to your question. So in the summer, we've always played on KS Nadvishlan. We've been working with them for 9-10 years now, so we've actually got a pretty close relationship with Pan Jurek, who looks after that club.
That's the one just here off of Dietler, right?
Yeah. Just
very close to where we are now, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly. So between Tea Time and Wawel, more or less, bang in the middle of those two important Krakow landmarks. And we play with this softball. I showed it to you earlier. It's not that soft. As I said, a typical cricket ball, 150 grams, can kill someone. And people do die yearly in club cricket. It isn't as well known, but it happens a lot. And we play with a 100-gram ball, which is made of plastic, and you're not going to kill anyone with that, although, as I discovered the other week, it can hurt. If
you're taking all the
place.
Safety precautions you can.
Yeah. We would love to play hardball cricket, and maybe we can come to that in more detail later, but it's a big project to find the space. The teams in Warsaw who've done that have kind of moved out of the city into the sticks, where you can find the space, and then you've got to deal with molehills and all the rest of it.
But just to be clear,
sorry, I got to interrupt that. So tell me you don't cast covetous eyes on Bonya, because that is.
Oh no!
Oh, we have done that. We have thought about it.
You only need that kind of like 22 yards of like special super flat turf in the middle, and the rest of it can stay rough, really, I guess.
Very rough.
Yeah, we've looked at Bonya and thought that is a giant village green.
If it's good enough for the Pope, it's good enough for cricket.
So that could be a good solution, Bonya. Again, we have made tentative steps towards, we're a registered club, but we haven't made use yet of the local government and talked to them about how we can expand things and can they support us with space and whatever. I mean, part of the reason for that is we don't hold out much hope that they would help us.
But you know what, Graham? I think the football pitch where you are now probably much less likely to be covered in dog shit than Bonya. So there's that to consider, I have to say. Yeah. And just to be clear, this football pitch that you're on here off of Dietla, it's not the standard regulation size of a cricket pitch, and so you have to make certain compromises to kind of make your game fit on the pitch, right? In terms of the number of people on the field at a given time. How do you make it work?
So generally it's like 11 aside, but we play with 9 aside. So that's because of the size of the ground, and also the boundaries are pretty short, I would say. So the straight and the back are pretty short. So we get a lot of sixes. That's another way of counting.
When you get a home
run,
hit the ball out of the
hit
park.
for 6. I know that one.
Yeah. So it's like a home run in baseball.
So it's a little bit easier because of the restrictions you're working under. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Understandable.
And then the plastic ball, which Graham has, it's not like very light plastic ball. It has got a seam, and it has got when it hits you, it really stings. So you got to be careful.
Let's talk about how you develop kind of the team and kind of get new people into the fold. I mean, it's kind of understood that in the corpo world, Graham, you mentioned State Street earlier, here in Krakow, you're going to have any number of people, probably from different parts of the Commonwealth, who are going to be interested. They want to play. Sure, they're in. But I would think that you guys also want to kind of reach out to other people who are maybe not cricket fans and kind of, turn them into cricket fans. And, tell us about what you do as a club to kind of bring people in and let them know what it's all about. And hopefully, they become active members.
So I think the interesting thing there is how the number of people interested has just exploded in the time that we've been around. So in the first 5 years or so, we were really struggling just to get 10, 15 people on a pitch at the same time. And then we started to be regularly playing every 2 weeks over the summer, and it was still hard work to get people to come. And then in the last 3 years, I mean, apparently right now there are 35,000 Indians in Poland right now, which is a mix of, Uber drivers, students, IT experts, and all the rest of it.
And surely most of them concentrated in a handful of cities, too.
Yeah, I think it's they're all sitting in the big cities. So you've got cricket in Wrocław, Lublin, Poznan, Gdansk. All of obviously Warsaw's like the home of Polish cricket, where it all really happens.
No one's ever said that before.
Welcome to the home of Polish cricket. Yeah.
It's on a T-shirt.
That's what they're known for.
I can't believe I said that. Yeah.
I was in the home of the cricket in the north of Poland.
We're the home of cricket in the south.
In the south of Poland,
yeah.
Sounds like a rivalry is brewing.
We've played the Warsaw teams. There's definitely a rival. There's no love lost when Warsaw.
Yeah, nobody likes Warsaw.
So we've seen explosion in numbers, which mean that basically operating the club in the last 3-4 years has become a lot easier, because you're going to get people. You've got people who will gladly commit 400 zloty for annual membership, and that means we just schedule out. We'll do sort of 25 sessions over the year, plus touring teams. We'll visit Warsaw for a game, or Łódź, or we go to Brno. We've been to Dresden. Hopefully, at some point in the future, we can go to some of the other big.
It's pretty impressive, actually. It's nice.
I have a question, actually. And I mean, I speak as someone, I went through the English school system that meant that I learned about cricket from a very early age. And although I was never any good at it, I was at a secondary school where cricket was played.
Come along and play.
So I know how it works. I know, but I'm sure you've had the same, that those conversations when people are like, just what is this game all about? And and the more you're trying to explain it, the more complicated it sounds. So you have people who come from non-cricketing backgrounds who have got interested and are now playing.
Yep.
How easy do they find it? I mean, do you find you actually have people playing and they don't really fully know how to play?
They do something and they look over at you with like wide eyes, like, did I do well?
What was wrong with that?
Did I do good?
Yeah,
we have some funny stories. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Honours yours.
We've had not a huge amount of interest in Krakow from Polish community, and we can talk about how we want to change that. In Warsaw, there's a team which is only Polish based, and so they've all learnt their cricket here. By and large, I think there's a few Polish people who've maybe spent some time in the UK or grew up there and came back here. It's a really tough sport. I don't know if that's similar in baseball, but it's a really tough sport to understand. If you're watching it, you're like, what is going on with this sport? And you've really, if you go, you could get the sport if you go to an English village green and you sit just drinking beer or Pimm's or whatever all day. You will understand that it's not really about the cricket. It's just about sitting in the sunshine, drinking alcohol, and having a lovely time of it.
Excuse
and the
to get
cricket
drunk,
is sort of
please.
secondary
The drunker
to
you are,
that.
the more sense it makes.
And I think that's sort of at the heart of cricket, is just having a nice something to do in the summertime. The ins and outs is just you got to play the sport to kind of realise what's going on. There's a lot of nuances.
I suspect that, like baseball, like American football or Gaelic football or Aussie rules football or whatever, if you don't grow up with it, it's harder to get into later in life.
Yep.
You have to you have to look at it like the working parts of an engine and see how it works. Whereas as a kid, you just absorb it and it's just obvious how it works. And like Josh said, I think he's exactly right. When you try to explain, for example, baseball, it's the same with cricket, I imagine. It's easy, you say, this is very simple. Just listen. All you have to do, the pitcher gets this number of pitches, this many balls and strikes, and the more rules you explain, the more you see that it really is complicated. And it's complex.
There's also the thing that there's the actual way that you play it in terms of, who throws the ball and who hits it with their bit of word and all the rest of it. But then there's also the kind of underlying tactics, and I think this is where people struggle even more when they say, he won the toss, and
the subtleties and strategy and things like that.
What decides whether they're going to bat first or the other team should bat first? And you say, well, it depends on how the pitch is. Is it going to dry out and be more dangerous later on, or is it more dangerous now? Is there?
And it's very technical.
Yeah. And even if you've got a really massive score and you're pretty confident that the other team are not even going to reach that.
Talk about test matches in 5 days.
So
it
you
just blows my mind.
So you declare before you've even had all your.
Just even another level
you play
of
for
weirdness.
5 days, and at the end of the fifth day.
It could be a draw.
It could be a draw.
Nothing should last for 5 days.
Wins.
Snapping,
and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it.
Playing for a draw is a tactic.
It's a tactic.
Let me bring this back to earth for a second here. Let me just sneak in a practical question. Graham, you mentioned something about seasons. Surely you don't play in the winter here. What is the season for cricket in Poland?
We do play in winters.
Yeah. I mean, we got a sports hall we use, and we do winter nets. Typically from January through to Easter time, we'll do indoor nets, and then everyone's keen to move outdoors as soon.
Is there an off season, really?
We don't play so much from sort of October to Christmas. We generally find it's good, just go to the mountains, do something else, enjoy the autumn. Yeah. We don't play in that period. The rest of the time we're more or less every week. All
right, let's go back to trying to get Polish people into the game here. And by the way, I think the pitch where you play here off Dietla, the surrounding fence is kind of screened. I don't think you can see through it. But surely at some point when Polish people do see what you're doing, you must get some interesting looks and maybe comments like, what the hell's going on?
We had lots of strange audiences when we are playing, and they come and click pictures, and
must be very exotic.
They stand with their arms crossed and
what's wrong with these guys?
I mean, it's the men from Del Monte come to visit.
It's a nice. It's an amazing ground because you've got Wawel on one side. So when you're playing, you can look up, see Wawel. And then there's a block of rather fancy residences, flats, whatever, on one side. And we get, especially when it gets a bit passionate, during fielding. During some of the practice sessions, if we're just doing fielding drills, we'll be bawling out players who've made mistakes. Yeah. If I'm in the mood for that,
using certain language, colourful language, maybe.
Probably. For lots of unrepeatable stuff. And then you get people coming out to see what the hell's going on.
I saw recently on your Facebook page, I saw a post where you're organising something, actually kind of a training education camp for kids. You're reaching out to, inviting people to come in and learn how cricket works. Tell us about that.
Right. So at this stage, we want to understand if there's, is there a handful of kids, 10 kids in Krakow who'd be interested to try this out? So I think that's the kind of quorum you need to organise that. And then we already play every Saturday morning from 10 till 12. So tagging it on so it's 9 till 12 and having an hour session for kids and beginners is something we're definitely interested. As soon as we know that there's people ready to do it, and maybe it's a chicken and egg situation that we just need to get on and start doing it, and that will build the momentum and more people will get to hear about it. So I think that at the moment, when we've had beginners come along before, they've been kind of swamped with the fact that 90% of people know what they're doing, and it makes it really tough if you're learning.
It would be. I understand that. It's intimidating, right?
Yeah. So we want to just segregate off a piece of time. I'm looking for kids 7 to 13 as being a good age group to start at, but we'll probably
like the Jesuits, isn't it? Get them young.
Well, we got one player, Yash, last year. Yeah, Yash. We got. He's the Polish chap. I think his mother is Polish and father is English. And then they moved from England to Krakow, and the kid got
living in
Mierhof, and the kid got introduced to cricket in England. And when he came here, he really wanted to connect with that, and they found the club. They brought him to play with us last year, and the kid is brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah. So
I'm thinking back to when we spoke with the guys from the American football team who came here from the rugby club and whatnot. And sure, cricket. American football, baseball, etc. Don't have a huge fan base in Poland. But in my experience, when we're looking at sports like this, very often it's the case that the people who do like it, what they lack in numbers, they make up for with intensity and dedication. They really love. They're hardcore fans. Do you find that's the case often with the people that that you play with?
Depends.
Nah, not really.
No, John, you're totally wrong.
I'm pretty obsessed about cricket, and I think there's quite a few of us are. I would say.
I'm a cricket lover, so. And
you started the club, Vijay.
You played with yourself for a year, so
we're probably being a bit self-deprecatory there. But yeah, I think that the people who come along are pretty.
But this is the first time we're going to have a Krakow League, and we will see lots of passions which people were holding back will come out, because this is the first time people will be playing for their own little teams, and they're going to form some bonds, and they're going to have a go at each other. I think, really looking forward for that,
Let me ask
the blood feuds.
Let me ask quickly about equipment, because as far as I know, there's no cricket supply store here in town. And, of course, cricket requires its own special equipment, bats and balls and whatnot. Where do you get this stuff from?
Donation.
Yeah, good point. We had a team came over from Australia and they did a tour of Europe.
Yeah.
This is kind of incidental to your question, but we were the last team that they visited before they flew back to Australia. They were meant to go up to Warsaw to play a match, but we said, you can come and play us, and they cancelled.
You don't want to go to Warsaw.
They cancelled Warsaw and came to Krakow.
Nice.
And then they left their kit bag.
Yeah,
cool.
Intentionally?
Yeah,
which is
on purpose, right?
They're still using
I know
it.
it's like $1,000.
Shame if anything happens.
Nice.
I would say.
Very nice. Thank you, Australia. Very nice.
Internet order, Sports Direct from UK is where we get a lot of the gear.
So there are ways to get what you need.
Yeah.
The internet kind of solves a lot of problems, I suppose.
I mean, you can get a box from for your special
Special
meat and
gear.
veg. You can get those in Decathlon. I don't know if it wouldn't surprise me if Decathlon, because they do baseball, they do American football.
Cricket might be a bridge
might
too far,
be,
though, I think. Yeah.
Well, 35,000 Indians. The market.
Maybe one day soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not far off.
We've mentioned Warsaw a couple of times now. Let's talk about the subject of opposing teams or who you play against. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but it seems to me that there isn't really a formally organized nationwide cricket league. It's kind of done informally when it comes to scheduling opponents.
Well, Warsaw have got their league, haven't they? And there's a group called the Polish Cricket Board.
Yeah, but they're self-proclaimed, I would say.
I mean, let's go down that rabbit hole. So I've got a nice one. In America, you had an American Cricket Association, and they actually had two of them. And there was the official body who were widely regarded as corrupt and everybody hated them, and then and then there was the unofficial body who were constantly trying to get the International Cricket Council to change who was in charge, and there's a huge budget attached to that, like millions, and it was apparently sitting in the wrong hands. So yeah, Polish Cricket Board. Let's talk about them.
By the way, I had no idea America had a cricket authority. I had no clue what two of them exactly.
Anyway, I mean, there is no formal body in Poland, but there is a group who organise league matches in Warsaw, and if we want to go and play there, we can do.
You can do that.
Yeah. You can pick up the phone and call Wrocław or Łódź or whatever and say let's make this happen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We are planning to have a day in Warsaw this year. Yeah, so
we'll do tour matches to different teams for sure. But in terms of if I talk about a Polish league, you need severe dedication, because if you're travelling to Poznan for a match, that's that's the whole weekend gone.
Yeah.
But I don't know how far. I mean, we've got about 40 players now. I don't know how far we are away from having those like super dedicated people who just spend the whole weekend travelling around the country to play.
I have to ask, and you mentioned State Street earlier, and a lot of your players might come from corporations. Are there maybe some sponsorship opportunities here, possibly?
Tandoori Flame Chicken.
We got we got some kit sponsorship in the past from some of the Indian restaurants here, obviously. But yeah, if we'll get some
Taste of India.
Taste of India
sponsored our shirts one year.
Yeah.
Good on. They're just over the road from here on
Dietler.
Tandoori Flame are sponsoring one of Krakow Super Kings. One of the teams going to play in the inaugural Krakow Premier League. KPL 21. That's happening this year, starting 29th of May. We'll have seven matches over 7 weeks. And yeah, one of the teams is sponsored by them anyway, and there's 2 other teams. I don't know about corporate sponsorship. You're probably 1,000 already here and there makes a huge difference to us. So we probably need to spend more time doing that sort of thing. But time is time, yeah. Exactly.
It's it's a commitment to get out there and knock on doors and talk to people. But I think there's got to be something for you out there. I'm just saying, no pressure. But look into it. Yeah. Look into it. Well, I asked about equipment. I'm still thinking about the tandoori chicken, by the way. But
one of our players owns tandoori chicken. So
Tandoori Flame.
That's good.
Tandoori Flame. He's the owner of the restaurant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I guess with a name like that, you have to open a restaurant, don't you?
Graham, before we started recording, we were talking about the situation in Warsaw, and you told me that up there they take it a little too seriously for your taste sometimes. Tell us about that. What are they doing?
I mean, I think if you take a team up to Warsaw. With limited facilities for doing training with the hardball cricket, you might find you're getting thrashed by a huge scoreline. We've seen scorelines. What have we seen? Like 300 to 80.
A guy scoring double 100 in a T20 match. So
a T20 match would typically you might get 120, 150. In the professional games, they sometimes get 200. So that's possible. And then the scores ought not to be more than sort of 10-20% out.
So they're running up the score, really.
Yeah. It's just
to some extent.
Warsaw Hussars. Have we talked about them? The Polish team.
The Polish team.
So there's a team in Warsaw.
All Polish.
Warsaw, all Polish, very committed to making cricket happen in Poland. Really nice bunch. We play them annually, if not twice a year, and they play in the Warsaw leagues, and they're not thrashed by.
They're pretty good, I would say. Now they have improved quite a lot, and the Warsaw Hussars, this team we are talking about, they could be traveling to Krakow in a few weeks for our annual Krakow Cricket Cup, and
I'll turn out to watch that.
And that will be the 7th edition of our Krakow Cricket Cup. Yeah,
and where will that be?
Same place.
Here on
That's why I said I'd turn out.
It's
it's only just down the road.
across the street, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, what's the pitch called again? KS Nadvyshlanska?
Nadvyshlan. Club Sportowy Nadvyshlan. It's on Kolesiak 20, just behind the tennis courts. It's not that easy to find, but considering it's a huge football pitch,
it's right
quite
there.
hard to find.
It's right there on the. If you're headed south and you're about to cross the river, it's on your right, like 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds before you cross the river.
We have found people who have missed that pitch in the past.
How could you miss that?
Exactly. How could you miss that? Yeah.
Guys, for people who maybe want to come check you out, maybe want to come watch you take on the Hussars, maybe they have a kid who might be interested in joining you for the workshop that you mentioned earlier, where can they go online to find out more about you?
Well, Facebook page. I think if you Google Krakow Cricket Club, that's going to take you straight to our Facebook page. And then we have all the events, all the upcoming events published on there. So we've got 10 plus events going through to middle of August at the moment.
It sounds like you have a pretty busy schedule over the summer, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, impressively busy, I have to say. Huh?
Well, we've got the 7 matches with the KPL. We want to get Hussars over for a match. I don't know if we will go to Warsaw. Yeah, we're going to go to Warsaw, aren't we? To play Hussars. The end of the summer, come September, Brno in Czech often do a cricket weekend, and we've been there a couple of times. The Czech cricket scene is a lot more developed than in Poland. They got 3 leagues.
The Czech cricket scene is...
yeah, absolutely.
Well, the jokes write themselves, don't they?
Yeah. So Brno have got 3 teams.
Beautiful ground.
Brno has 3 cricket teams.
First 11, second 11, third 11.
Third 11, yeah.
We've beaten their third 11, which we were delighted about until we found out that they were the thirds, because we only just beat them. But yeah, they're. So that's our season this year, and with COVID, I don't think we'll have touring teams from the UK this year. But that's always something where we welcome teams coming over.
And then if you go on the Facebook page and if you have any questions, you can write us a message through the Facebook page, and we will definitely get back to you.
Krakow Cricket Club, very easy to find online on their Facebook page. Support what they're doing. I mean, you can tell these guys have a good time. They enjoy what they're doing. They're trying to promote the sport. So if you're looking for something different to do, and you want to be one of those people, like Vijay said earlier, who are kind of taking pictures and like pointing and wondering what's going on, go down to the pitch, KS Nadvyshlan, just off of Dietla, and check them out. Guys, thanks for joining us, Graham and Vijay. We appreciate you dropping by, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
KrakCast.pl is the site. Check out all of our back episodes there. Vijay, you want to sneak in one more thing? Go ahead.
Yeah, why don't you do a online commentary on one of our matches?
Josh?
Well, it kind of reminds me of the...
Would be awesome.
Bill Bryson's book about his travels in Australia down under. I don't know if you know the passage I'm talking about, but it goes on for about 3 or 4 pages. I could probably find a link just to that passage online. We can post up.
We'll hire Bill
This is
Bryson
an American listening to an Australian record, Australian cricket commentary on the radio, and having no clue whatsoever. And he's going, yeah. They're kind of out for a diddly second after 4th meal break, and.
I can do that. Yeah, no problem. Thanks again, guys. And thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll catch you next time on the KrakCast.
Thank you guys for having us.